Hello students, myself Wasim Paliwala, welcoming you again in the program Pass Thawanu Panchamrut, organized by HB Kapadia Group of Schools and GSTV. In the last two sessions, we had a discussion about paper pattern of accounts and blueprint of accounts, as well as the most important chapter of accounts, that is company final accounts. In today's session, we will be discussing some tips that how to get succeed in account subject. Students, account is the subject which pressurizes the students most. One more thing, generally this subject is having the first paper. As you all know that first impression is last impression, so you should be very particular about your first paper. If your first paper will not get as per your expectation, you have to face a depression and that impact your other papers also. So you should be very particular about your first paper. For that, I have presented this session. Along with this, I have made a list of priority based chapters by which you have an idea that which chapters you have to do first and which chapter you have to do at last as per the priority. So let us start. I have divided this whole episode into three segments. Segment number 1, time allotment. Students, you will be receiving a time of 3 hours and 15 minutes for each paper, means 195 minutes. In the very first 15 minutes, your work should be of reading papers only. Please focus on reading paper only, because by reading the paper, the strategy will be made in your mind, and that strategy helps you to take a decision regarding which sum you have to do and which sum you do not have to do. So first 15 minutes should be spent for paper reading only. After that, for section A and section B, you might have 15 minutes. Please make a target that your section A and section B should be finished by 15 minutes. If you will take more time in section A and section B, then for the other sections, time will be lack. For section C, you have 15 minutes. In this 15 minutes, all the 4 sums of section C should be done. In section D, you will be having 25 minutes. In this 25 minutes, all the sums of section D, means all the 4 sums of section D should be done. In section D, I have allotted the whole 1 hour, means 60 minutes. You all know that in section E, you have to attempt the sums of admission, retirement and share capital, which requires much time. So I have allotted 20 minutes for each sum. You have to keep in mind that in 20 minutes, each sum should be completed. For section F, I have allotted 55 minutes. In section F, you have to attempt only 2 questions, but both are of final accounts. It is my advice that before doing final accounts of partnership firm, please do company final accounts, because after doing company final accounts sum, you will have a positive attitude towards the paper that now you will be passed. So the pressure of partnership accounts does not reflect your paper. So please do company final accounts first, and in the last 10 minutes revise the whole paper. So this is the appropriate time allotment for each and every section. Next step, paper presentation. In accounts, paper presentation should be needed, because if your paper is not properly presented, though you have written right answer, there might be chances that your marks would be cut. Which things you have to keep in your mind? Number 1, students should begin new section on a new page. So many times students have habituated of writing sections in a continuous manner. So students are advised to write new section on a new page. For each and every section, a new page should be used. Let's suppose if you have completed your section A in one page and 4 lines, first page and 4 lines of second page, leave the whole page and start section B with a new page. Second point, write in neat and legible handwriting. Students, account is not a theory subject. Accounts is a practical subject. You have to do calculations, you have to make ledgers. There might be chances your calculation may get wrong. Okay, so whenever you are recorrecting your calculation, be particular that whenever you are recorrecting your mistake, that should be legible. Instead of 10,000, if you have written 1,000, so just put a single line on 1,000, then write 10,000. You do not have to scramble the whole 1,000 amount. Okay, you just have to put a line on 1,000. Third point, write question numbers correctly in sequence. You can start section F first, you can start section E first, but if you start section E first, then all the questions of section E should be there. After that, you should start a new section. Let's suppose you know the 2 sums of admission and retirement. You are doing 1 sum of admission, 1 sum of retirement, but a share capital sum is tough. So you just leave the page for share capital, then start new section. My point is your questions should be in sequence. Next, underline the important keywords in theory questions. As we have discussed in past episodes, there might be only 2 theory questions from part 1 chapter 7 and part 2 chapter 2. So you have to underline the keywords in theory question. Draw formats properly. All the formats should be drawn properly. Do not use colorful pens. Only use blue pen and pencil for accounts paper. Last, mention debit credit signs on formats. This debit credit signs requires marks. So you have to keep in the all points in your mind while you are presenting paper. Here we are taking a short break. After the break, we will discuss about the priority of chapters. Thank you, students. Welcome back to the session. Before the break, we had discussed about 2 points of tips to success, that is time allotment and paper presentation. Now the most important topic, priority based chapters, that we are going to discuss. Students, as per my advice, I have made this chart considering the difficulty as well as weightage of the chapters. You might change it, but this is most advisable chart to prepare chapters. In this chart, the first chapter that I have taken is valuation of goodwill. In this chapter, 2 sums of 4 marks each will be asked. Why this chapter is taken as a first in priority? Because this is the easiest chapter of accounts. If you will prepare this chapter well, you will easily get 8 out of 8 marks. Preparing this chart, I have taken 2 types of students in my mind. Number 1, the students who still thinks that they might get fail in exam, and number 2, the students who want to get full marks in accounts. So if you will go according to this chart, that will be very helpful for you to achieve your goal. So first chapter I have taken as valuation of goodwill. In this chapter, 2 sums of 4 marks will be asked, but obvious, 1 sum would be of average profit and 1 sum would be of super profit or capitalized super profit. But remember, the students who want to pass, if you do not know the super profit method, you at least find average profit. That will give you 1 mark. Do not leave any question. You have to write something. If you do not know the super profit method, at least find out average profit. That will give you 1 mark. Next chapter is part 2, chapter number 3, company final accounts, that we had discussed in our second session. only 2 formats that will give you 11 marks. So considering the marks, this chapter comes to the second rank of my priority. If you will prepare only these 2 chapters, you will get 19 marks. One more thing I want to know you that I am not including MCQs and VSQs in this chapter. Okay, so if you will prepare these 2 chapters and MCQs and VSQs as we had discussed in session 1, you will be passed in exam. So you have to prepare MCQs, VSQs and these 2 chapters only and your result will be passed. But our aim is not to pass only in accounts paper. Okay, so in the third rank I have put part 2 chapter number 4, analysis of financial statement, and part 2 chapter number 6, cash flow statement. If you have observed, I have made a green highlight on cash flow statement. You have to prepare both the chapters, but you have to attempt only one sum from this. One sum of analysis of financial statement will be there and one sum of cash flow statement will be there. From both these sums, you have to attempt any one sum. Then why these 2 chapters are required? Because this is a lengthy sum. If you think that cash flow statement is easy sum, priority should be given to cash flow statement. Otherwise, you should follow analysis of financial statement. Cash flow statement is having 3 kind of activities: operating activity, investing activity and financing activity. Investing and financing, but operating activity sums are quite difficult. So, if a sum of operating activity will be asked, you should switch over to analysis of financial statements. Considering the priority of chapters, I have put part 2 chapter 4, reconstruction of partnership, in the 5th position. From this chapter, a sum of sacrifice ratio and gain ratio or a sum of distribution of reserve will be asked. I think the dumbest student or the weakest student at least know how to calculate sacrifice ratio or gain ratio. So, considering this point of view, you will easily get 3 marks from this chapter. Then after, on 6th rank, I have put introduction to partnership chapter 1, which will be having 3 marks. In this sum, you have to do 11 short sums. Considering past few papers, for this year, sum of commission on profit is important and sum of interest on capital and interest on drawing is important. These 3 sums are most important for this academic year. In chapter number 7, dissolution of partnership firm, 2 sums will be asked. But I have put this chapter on 7th rank because one will be of sum and one will be of theory. So, why I have put this chapter on 7th rank? Because before reaching to this sum, 8 plus 11, 19, 19 plus 4, 23, 23 plus 6, 29 marks. So, you must have done 29 marks preparation. After 29 marks preparation, you have to do chapter number 7, dissolution of partnership firm. One sum will be asked in which you have to write 3 journal entries and 1 theory question will be asked. In next, you have to attempt part 1 chapter 5, admission of a partner. In this chapter, 2 sums will be asked of 8 marks each. Before doing this sum, you might have cleared 35 marks preparation. Means you are already passed. Now you have to focus on your scoring. So to focus on your scoring, you have to do chapter number 5, admission of a partner. 2 sums will be asked from this chapter. Sums of this chapter will grab your more time in board exams. Each sum should be completed within a specific time of 20 minutes. Whenever you are preparing ledgers for this chapter, for this sum, you should be very particular regarding timings. 4 ledgers will be prepared in a sum of admission. revaluation account, partner's capital account, cash and bank account, and balance sheet. So whenever you are doing the sum of chapter number 5 admission, your ledgers should be prepared within 5 minutes. Next, part 1 chapter 6 retirement or death of a partner. After doing admission, you have to do retirement. Why I have put retirement on priority basis? Because you all may know that admission and retirement, both chapters are similar. So up till now, you will be able to do a preparation of 35 plus 24, 59 marks preparation. We are taking a short break over here, and after a break, we will discuss about rest of the points. Stay tuned, students. Before break, we were discussing about chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. I have ranked these chapters on 8th and 9th position. These both chapters are interrelated. If you will do admission chapter, the most portion of retirement chapter will be cleared from this chapter only. In retirement chapter, you have to do sums of retirement as well as sums of death. Though generally death sums are not asked, but once in a July paper, death sum was asked. After that, you have to do the most important chapter of accounts and the most difficult chapter of accounts, that is part 1 chapter 2, final accounts of partnership. Though its weightage is 11 marks, still I have put this chapter on the last priority. Why on last priority? Because the sum of this chapter is designed not only considering the scholar students but also considering the weak students. Even the weakest student can pass the entries from trial balance sheet, but to tally the balance sheet, it might be problematic even for a scholar student. So this sum is specifically designed by considering each and every student. That is why this chapter is very important to understand. One more thing, if you will start practicing this chapter first, there might be chances your balance sheet may not be tallied. You will be facing issues in some adjustments. Pressure of this chapter should not affect these chapters. That is why I have put this chapter into last priority, because if up till now, if up till here, if you will reach, you will be surely having a confidence of getting at least 70 up marks in accounts. Okay, so after preparing these all chapters, you will start preparing chapter 2 final accounts of partnership. So this is the list of priority based chapters that I have made. If you will follow this list, you will surely get full marks in accounts. This list includes sums only, whose weightage is of 70 marks. But MCQs and VSQs you have to do as per discussed in episode 1. You have to do the MCQs and VSQs of all the chapters that I had mentioned in episode number 1. So 70 marks sums plus 20 marks MCQs and 10 marks VSQs, your 100 mark paper will be completed. If you have completed this whole thing, still you have time. You can do these 3 chapters. Part 2 chapter 1 accounting for share capital, part 2 chapter 5 accounting for ratios and analysis, and part 2 chapter 2 accounting for debentures. I have mentioned the weightage also. See students, this syllabus is designed, these general options are designed considering your whole syllabus of commerce, not only 12th standard syllabus. Because if you will be opting for graduation degree, these all chapters will be repeated in graduation. Accounting for share capital, accounting ratios, accounting for debentures, all these 3 chapters will be repeated in your graduation degree. Considering this point, if you want to skip these 3 chapters, you can easily skip. But those students who want to get 100 out of 100 marks, and those students who want to do CA and who wish to do foundation after 12th, it is my personal advice not to skip a single chapter from this list. Then you have to do all the chapters mentioned from 1 to 13. So this is the list of priority based chapters that I have made for your board examinations. Now students, you know that exams are nearer and you have to do so many things. But if you go according to this list, I am giving you surety that you will get maximum marks in account subject. Just be particular regarding each and everything whatever you are writing. Whether it is section A MCQs or it is section B VSQs or it is short sums or it is long sums or it is essay type sums. For each and every part you have to be very particular while you are writing a paper. Say for example, if we are taking this chapter, admission of a partner or retirement of a partner or final accounts of partnership, all these three chapters requires ledgers. Now, so many times student might get confused about preparing ledgers. It is observed that in final accounts students are preparing revaluation account, or in admission chapter students are preparing trading account. So don't get messy with these things. Please practice the ledgers chapter wise, that chapter wise which ledgers to be prepared. In goodwill chapter no ledger will be prepared. In company final accounts you do not have to prepare ledgers, you have to prepare statements, that is profit and loss statement and balance sheet statement. In this you have to prepare comparative statements and common size statements. In cash flow statement again you have to prepare statement, but the column of statements will be particular amounts only. In chapter number 5, reconstruction of partnership, you do not have to prepare any ledgers. In chapter number 1, introduction to partnership, you do not have to prepare ledgers. In dissolution, while you are writing journal entries, you have to prepare column of journals. In chapter number 5, admission, you have to prepare 4 ledgers: revaluation account, partners capital account, cash and bank account and balance sheet. In retirement, you have to prepare only 3 ledgers: revaluation account, partners capital account and balance sheet. But if a conditional capital is given for each and every partner, then you have to prepare cash and bank account also. In final accounts of partnership, you have to prepare 5 ledgers: trading account, profit and loss account, profit and loss appropriation account, partners capital account and balance sheet. If in trial balance sheet current account balance is given, then instead of capital account you have to prepare current account. So these are the list of chapters in which ledgers will be prepared. Now we know that your exams are nearby and you have to prepare well for your exams. I hope these 3 sessions would be useful for you and for your upcoming exams. This is the last session of this entire series. We will meet in the next upcoming sessions. I wish all the students gets the marks what they deserve as per their preparation, as per their practice and as per their study. God bless you all. Thank you so much.